everyone, and welcome to the Dancing Bear Enlightenment Academy channel. And we have a wonderful guest speaker for today. Her name is Jennifer Regular. She is a transformational author and spiritual wellness leader, empowering empaths, visionaries, and solopreneurs during their time of reckoning to reconnect with their soul purpose. Throughout spiritual wellness strategies and online courses, she supports you in getting started in the next safe step to take to heal from emotional wounds and bring life back into alignment. By living her life purpose, she inspires and empowers others to live with integrity, grace, and authenticity. Hello, Jennifer, and welcome.
Hello, Dr. Beverly. Thank you so much for having me here as your guest today.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And so, after that incredible introduction, tell us about your personal journey and how you got started. Why is this your passion?
Oh, sure. Well, there's a few different really threshold moments, I would say, that's happened throughout my lifetime. I'd say spiritually, the time I became more aware of that was when I was 6 years old. I experienced the first death of a family member, and I was very aware of the energy present in the room, of the people that were surrounding the family members that, live on, and the other kinds of energy and presence that felt available. And I was very observant of everyone's emotions. And, at 6 years old, you're just picking up and absorbing everything. And the way my mom explained to me about that death was, he's your guardian angel now. And I just took that literally. Okay. So then I would start talking to this guardian angel. Later on, I learned it's not quite what it was, but that's the way my mom had explained to me. But not knowing any better, I just started talking to angels. And so the angelic realm and the angelic relationships that I have developed from that point, consciously in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I learned a lot just from observing people. By the time I was 10 years old, I wanted to write a book called When Society Determines Your Destiny. And that
Mm.
was just at 10 years old. And that was because of just observing how society and relationships and interactions with people worked. It was just really fascinating to me. And I just really noticed that society was trying to determine our destiny, trying to teach us, what we needed to know, how we needed to live, how we needed to sit at the table. There's just all these different rules for living that were put upon by parents, authority figures, churches and other religious gatherings and institutions or schools. And, some of it made a lot of sense. Some of it I just couldn't connect with, I couldn't relate with. And it didn't seem like people were really following their own path. They were just following what they were told to do, and doing it to the best of their ability and always trying their best, instead of being their best in who they were. And it actually took 30 years before I really realized what my message was, which was to embrace your power. And it was about a healing journey of self-discovery, discovering yourself and healing your relationship with yourself and creating conscious connection and deciding how you want to live out destiny. And so I created that book when I was in my 40s, when I turned 40, actually. I think I had
Oh, so you
published
didn't
that.
write it at
So
10.
sorry.
You didn't write it at 10 then.
No, I didn't write it at 10. I had chapters. And
Uh-huh.
those whole 30 years of incubating that idea, um, I gathered more information, more observations, more experiences, and had a lot of different chapters and talks and titles and writings in my mind. And my
Yeah.
dad was a plumber, and when I was 13, he brought home this psychology textbook that one of his customers had given him for being a plumber. Left it on my desk. I read the whole thing, and this is at 13. So of course I went on in university and got my psychology degree. But in the meantime, I was just really also fascinated by the dark side and the criminal mind
Mm-hmm.
and how that worked and decisions that they made. And was reading up on that, did some research on that, and then did my whole thesis actually on a critical analysis a behavior and critical analysis of serial killing, like the behavior, not on serial killers. Because I went to school thinking I was going to be a clinical forensic psychologist. Well, that was a whole different story because I was just so fascinated by the criminal mind,
Yeah.
and disputed some of the ideas that people, professionals, like really high up people, had considered that, and had my own theories and wrote my thesis on that. But between my third and fourth year of university, my father passed away, and my father and I were absolutely inseparable. And it was a very, very difficult time in my life, and it took a lot for me to figure out how to live without him. Because, like I said, we had such a soul connection, such a deep relationship, and we were always just even walking in sync with each other, like side by side. And he was just always there. He would always spend a lot of time very attentive. I mentioned that he was a plumber, but he was also clairvoyant. So he had a lot of different discussions that he didn't have with other people. And in school, that was really important because I never really felt like I could fit in well. I always, as an empath that I learned later, there was actually a name for it, and I just felt really highly sensitive that I would watch something and I would feel everything, that pain that everybody was feeling, and then feel like I had it too, not in a hypochondriacal kind of way, but just because I felt everything so deeply and just saw the world very differently than a lot of my peers did. And also being late in life, I had an easier time relating to people that were just living life differently, and also saw the world that I did. So just finding the right kind of tribe took some time. But my dad and I were a pair. And so when he died, it was very difficult. And I wasn't even sure I could finish my schooling, but I had finished 3 years. So I went back. I still had a fourth to go to get my honors degree, but I went back and said, I don't know if I'm going to make it back. My mom needs me. She was quite reliant on my dad and didn't know how to do a lot. So I wanted to be there for her. And also emotionally, I didn't feel like I was in a good place.
Yeah.
And so, but I did go back. I went back a year later, but during that time off, I reevaluated everything, as I did with any of the losses. By the time I was 21, which is when my dad died, I had already 17 deaths of family and friends. And each one creating more knowledge about the other side and what that meant, and how the relationships continue on beyond that. And it was interesting, even later in life, I knew exactly the moment my dad reincarnated, because I felt that loss all over again, because we had a relationship still beyond his death. But then when he died, I felt like I lost, when he came back, I just felt that loss all over again. So, just different frequencies and vibrations I was able to tune into. And then all that coming together got me interested in parapsychology and psychopathology, and just understanding more densities and dimensions of the mind and how that manifests in our reality. And then a few years after that, maybe about another decade or so, I got into a relationship with a soulmate, but the kind who teaches you a lot of lessons and brings you into your another awakening process, right? Highly dysfunctional. My ex-husband just couldn't love me didn't have the capacity to love me the way he wanted to, abusive, addicted to different substances, and just experiencing a lot of chronic pain, and that's what he was filled up with. And so that's how he related to the world around him. Despite the moments where, his true divine self was in there too. It's just got buried under all the other stuff that came in, that he consumed. And so it was after leaving that marriage, I just knew that it wasn't a fit for me. I drove to the end of the road, had no clue where I was going. I was actually working at a women's shelter at the time, couldn't go there because I worked there and in the whole system. So I was literally at the stop sign looking each way. I'm like, I have no idea where to go. All I knew was that I had to leave. And that was the next safe step that I could take. And then I take the next one. And I just really relied on the companion spirit walking with me to show me the next step and show me the next step. And I just kept saying in my mind, find me where I need to be, doing what I need to be doing, and just surrendering, just releasing that. There's always something that brings us to our knees. And then the first step in coping is that conscious connection, right? And to recognize that it's only temporary, and to ponder the possibilities, and then either exit the situation or embrace what's happening. And also energy work. Energy work is something I got into just after I left. Shortly after, there was a Wise Women weekend. And so I went there and I met all kinds of amazing women who were, more spiritually inclined. And a whole lot of different modalities were on offer. And so we were eating together and dancing together and talking and learning and sharing energy. And there was one lady in the meal line, because this was a weekend retreat, and I was hearing her talk about integrated energy therapy. I thought, oh, what's that? And she said how she was telling someone else how it clears memories from cellular imprints, right? That there's 8 cellular memory areas of the body, each correlating with a different emotion, and how we raise the lower vibration of that and integrate the higher vibration of that, and it clears that memory from cellular memory. So you're not attracting the same kind of situations into your life anymore. It clears that away. And I thought, wow, I can heal without having to talk about it for years. And I was already a counselor. So I thought, I'm going to go check her out after the lunch break and sign me up. So I did. And it was incredible. And I came at just the perfect time in my life, of course. That's how it always happens. And so I got signed up. I took all her courses. I became a master instructor in integrated energy therapy. So I was practicing that on others and also teaching the different classes. And of course, naturally having from 6 in that angelic realm, this is a modality that came from Angel Uriel and the violet ray. And so healing with the angels is also part of that whole modality. So and working with that. And I also met my spiritual teacher still to this day. It's been over at least 15 years, more than that, that I've been working with her. And she taught me Reiki drumming, and she taught me Reiki, and I did a shamanic apprenticeship with her for over 7 years, and that continues. And so there was a lot of modalities and different ways of being spiritually and more awakening and transformation that happened throughout all of that. And then I started my practice in Enlightened Wellness alongside all the social service work I was doing with various populations, both working, light working and dark working and shadow working and all of those things, and integrating all of that. And then I took a break from it. I didn't want any of the conventional jobs anymore. I didn't want to do the business anymore. I just felt like it was all kind of scattered, all kind of fragmented, and I need to bring myself back into alignment. It actually burnt out. I experienced some compassion fatigue. I took a stress leave from it and just kind of regrouped, and it was what I call a rite of passage, going through all of that and a rebirth that comes out of it and emerging into this more evolved, empowered being that was much more aligned with my soul path. I learned from a lot of different energy practitioners, counselors, elders, indigenous teachings, and so on about spirit and about soul care. And so that really became my passion, is about keeping the spirit intact. And so that became the focus of some of the talks that I've done in person and on different apps that are available, like Insight Timer and so on, meditation apps. And my message that I came to understand is to free your spirit to direct the life you were meant to live. That was the theme. That was the driving force through all of my different transitions and pivotal moments and times of transformation. And also what is common through every role that I've had and every kind of practice that I went through is really empowering people to connect with their divine nature and just allow spirit to direct them in the life that they were meant to live, to really embody their truth. And so after taking all that time off and reconvening and a few months ago. It's just in August that I reinvented myself again. Maya Angelou talks about that. The woman who reinvents herself daily shows sublime creativity. I love that because that's what I do. I keep reinventing myself. But it's not even reinventing. It's just continuously coming back home, coming back into alignment and recognizing what's not you and allowing that to fall away. So I started lighting the path, and that's the name of my business. It's what I do. I just light the way for people to find the direction again, to support them during those transitional times when they get out of crossroads of destiny, or also known as a reckoning about like, who are you and what are you doing in this life and why are you here, and all of those questions that our mind plays with, and just finding a way out of that quagmire and just being able to evolve instead of continuously revolving or getting heartbroken when things dissolve and not recognizing the beauty in the presence of what possibilities that opens you up to.
Right.
So really I connect people with that, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Is here I am lighting the path and talking about spirit and soul and all of that woo-woo stuff, but really about empowerment and embodying one's truth.
Do you work with Archangel Uriel?
I have worked with Archangel Uriel. Now I work soul to soul now. So more just really working with the other person that I'm working with's guides and their spirit, and just connecting soul to soul. So I wouldn't say that I work with any particular guide. I work with source, I work with great mystery, I work soul to soul, and not so much with any particular angels anymore. Now it's more of just a vibration, a frequency that's tapped into, rather than having to name it. Now I'm not so much into naming things anymore
It's
because
just
that
while you were
changes it.
speaking, kept seeing, because that's what he does.
Ah,
Shows people their soul path and how to follow it. And so
right.
that just kept coming up while you were talking. It's like, that's what Uriel does.
Ah.
So, yeah. So, but yeah, that's really what we all do, is work at the soul to soul level.
Yeah.
Um, and one could argue that maybe they're just manifestations of that, not real, because we're all one anyway. But what a great story and passion you have. And I think most people today who are really very enlightened beings trying to help others have a similar story. First, you have this childhood event, and then you grow up, and then you find yourself, and then you have some kind of relationship that doesn't work out, and you learn from it, and you grow on. And it's kind of a pattern I'm seeing with everyone that I interview. It's very interesting.
Yes, it's true. And it's all part of the spiritual journey, isn't it?
Hmm.
And you mentioned passion a few times. And my take on that, if you break up the word, it's pass I on.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so the way I see it and the way I share about it in the different offerings that I do, um, the I is your divine nature, right? That's your authenticity, that's your truth, that's you,
Hmm.
you, right?
Hmm.
And that's what you're passing on. So like I mentioned about all those different losses, and I'm sure you had them too, where what do we remember about that person, right? It's their spirit, their essence,
Hmm.
their vibration, how we felt around that person, right? How they made us feel.
Hmm.
People forget what you say or do, but they always remember how you feel, how you made them feel. And that's what we're passing on. So passion for me is, what about you are you passing on to others, to humanity? For some it might just be within the family unit. That's fine. It doesn't mean that has to be this grand huge gesture or legacy that you have to leave on this earth. It could be your relationship with your child or your pet, or something that you do for Mother Earth. It can be anything. But what is it that you're passing on, right? And to be on your deathbed knowing that you've done that, so that you have no regrets, right? That you've lived your life, you've done what you came here to do. Okay, let's go to the next thing.
Yeah, otherwise it's called karma and it comes back at you.
Exactly, right. So focus more on the Dharma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you're obviously helping a lot of people with your work. What's your best secret for helping them?
To allow your spirit to direct the life you were meant to live, right? And
So do you have like a process or a system that you use?
yeah, like I said, it connects with people soul to soul. So that's primary. And we start with the free discovery session to just connect and see what that might look like and give someone the next safe step they could take and to kind of feel out, where are they at in their lives right now? Because there's some that, are making a shift from career to calling and are ready for that. There's some that have already shifted into calling, but they're still not sure how to really embody that, right? And then there's others who are in that transitional phase very much so. And so I assist them, I walk with them through and hold space for them to grieve, heal, and then power up for the next phase in their lives. Recently, though, I am just about ready to launch my first course. It's going to start January 6th, which happens to be the Epiphany and a time of spiritual renewal. So this is a really strong way to start the year. And in that process, it's really supporting people through 6 modules. And those 6 modules I consider a journey. One builds upon the next. And, we start off with first things first, having room to breathe, just breathe, and then taking them to the point where they can prioritize their time and align with their values so that eventually, they can do less and be more. And to actually lead a more happy and fulfilling life and feel lighter and be more free. And so room to breathe is where we start. That's just setting out, boundaries, space, time, some basic essential habits that we can start implementing right away. And then we talk in the second week, we talk about gathering soul. So all those parts, like in my story too, that have become fragmented, that have changed, that we're still clinging onto soul parts that have gotten left behind, maybe in an old place or an old relationship, or just gathering soul, bringing those parts back in, unplugging from a lot of the external stimuli and just returning home. Yeah. So that it's all processes and habits and discussion around how to do that. And then in the third week, we're ready to start exploring your divine life purpose. And I know a lot of people are really familiar with the term life purpose, but not a lot of people know what their life purpose is. And for me, it's not so much about finding your life purpose. It's about following your soul's path. Right? I do believe that we have multiple purposes in our life, like all of those various jobs and roles I had, for example, all served a purpose. Any relationship or job I had served its purpose, right? It's all training. They're all assignments for following our soul path, but we can get off track. It can be quite easy to get off track. And so we explore the divine life purpose. Okay. We got let go of everything that's not you. We started bringing things into alignment. We've gathered your soul. Now let's start talking about what the life purpose is. Let's start exploring that. What's that look like? What's your I, right? In the passion? What are you ready to pass on? And then we look at until today. So until today, you had this life, right? You had multiple lifetimes. I know I've had multiple lifetimes within this one lifetime already. Only, at the tender age of almost 48, I've had multiple lifetimes. But until today, that was that, right? So today, this is where we start. This is where I'm a bridge to where life was, is, and becoming. So until today is about what is now? How is this a gateway into your future? Consider this an entryway into your future. What is your future self looking like? Who do you want to become? How do you want the rest of your life to be? And so we start looking at that, right? And until today, we leave that behind. It needs to be acknowledged. We might, there's some shamanic practices where that's wound healing, that we work with it, we let it go, we use the rattle, and it's gone, it's done. Right. And forgiveness work is part of that too. And it's not condoning past hurts or things that have happened. It's giving yourself the freedom from the emotional attachment to those things. Right. And so this is important, the until today work, because you don't want to be going on and doing everything everything's going really well again. You're dreaming a new dream. You have this new beginning and then it all crashes. Right. You got to know what can bite you in the butt, know what can come up and steer you off track again. so that you have a plan to work with that, to be able to stay on course, which is the sixth module, is staying on course. How can you keep your spirit intact? How can you stay aligned with your soul path? And how can you open up to more possibilities, to keep asking what else is possible, keep uplifting, keep raising consciousness. And you'll find that more and more this expansion brings you to a place where there is no point. There's the point of no return.
Yeah.
There's no going back, because you're not that same person anymore.
Right.
And there is a loss for that. Some people feel that, and so we don't ignore that. We don't bypass that. We acknowledge it, and we accept it, and we accept it as part of the journey, part of the process, and we make that an empowering process rather than becoming dispirited again.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I offer through this course, and I'm really excited to be taking people through that, especially at the start of 2022, which is going to be a slower year, but a phenomenal year. And it's awesome.
I think it's a lesson people are ready for as well. I think people are ready to move on to a different kind of lifestyle, a different kind of living, because the old one obviously didn't work. Look where we are.
Right.
Like,
right.
okay.
And that's why everything's being dismantled. It's like letting go of everything that wasn't aligned, not working. And just, yeah.
There was a lot not working.
That's why we're going through a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was very much needed. So all of this wonderful work you're doing, how has it impacted you personally?
Well, it's helping me follow my own soul path, and it's helping me align with my life purpose, and to walk my talk, and to be in integrity, and to be more graceful, and to keep raising consciousness. I feel like I'm on a mission to teach and transform on a global scale. So I'm so excited that everything's come online. I was never a tech person ever, but I'm seeing so much value in that. I got past those kind of self-imposed limitations and put myself out there. I was actually afraid to. One, I'm an introvert, but once I start talking and allow spirit to come through, then it's more about spirit than me. But the other part was I was afraid for my life too for a long time, and I couldn't have my name out there. I so wanted to do so much more, and I couldn't, and that's what held me back a lot. Was thinking that it wasn't safe to be able to do that. And so
interesting. I felt the same way.
Did you? Yeah.
I wasn't afraid of the tech, but I've never been afraid to give a presentation. I've been doing presentations for decades, and I was never afraid to stand in front of a room full of people and give a presentation. But I was afraid to do what I'm doing now. I didn't want to be on YouTube. I didn't want to be recorded for some reason. So yeah, I think that's just another transition we've all had to go through. So yeah,
it is. And then really trusting, I think, at least for me, in that higher power, being a higher power, higher than darker forces that can bring us down, keep us low, keep us playing small, right? And to trust the higher power that we can rise above that.
Yeah.
Right. And beyond that, and that it is okay, and that we will be safe. And not to be naive about it. Obviously, there's some precautions that need to be in place too, some safety measures, right? But to not let that hold you back, when you can really trust and have faith in the more authority, the higher authority.
Well, as an acupuncturist, I was helping people one-on-one and only having very small classes. As a therapist, you would have been doing the same thing one-on-one. But how many people can we help? This way, going online, we can help the helpers. We can help a lot more people this way. We help the helpers, and then the helpers help more people.
Exactly. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So we need more and more than we need more soul aligned leaders than ever before, so come out wherever you are. In those spiritual closets, we need you. So
and you have a great program for helping them to come out.
Yeah.
But you also have a mentorship program, right? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's in development as well. Like you say, I've been working more one-to-one. I actually prefer group work, but sometimes people just need a plan more that they can see is very applicable to their life to make and implement those changes. And I'm happy to support that where some of the shorter term programs.
Hmm.
They're all results oriented. So depending on what people's needs are and where they want to go and how they're envisioning their future self and their future goals, then that's the results that I want to bring for them. And I'm just their partner in that, and so
Hmm.
um, yeah, just sharing them again, step by step, how to feel on purpose and how to activate their soul's calling and embody their truth.
Yeah, for some people, sometimes that one-on-one is an accelerated path and
Yes,
a much better way to go. Than,
exactly.
yeah.
Accelerated path. I love the way you say that because that is what happens. Yeah. It's the fast track.
Cool. So, what can people do and where can they go to learn more about you and what you do?
Sure. I do have a website. It's lightingthepath.ca.
Uh-huh.
I just started a YouTube channel yesterday. I can share a link with that you can put at the bottom. And I'm offering Wise Women Wednesdays on that YouTube channel. So I'm having different wise women from around the world that have their story that they're wanting to share. And so I'm pretty excited about that. That's also a new project. And I'm on Instagram at lighting.thepath. See, yeah, just lighting.the.path is the Instagram. And what else? I think that's it. Yeah, you'll find everything else on my website. I'm part of the Spirit of Victoria directory as well and selfgrowth.com. But my website's the general place to go and find out all the other things.
And did you have a free gift for some for
I
people?
do. Yeah. So I mentioned that I was off from my more conventional jobs with compassion fatigue. And so I had written some resource material for different social service organizations, and it was very helpful for them. And I decided to put that into a guide. And so that's what I'm offering for you today. It's an 18-page guide on cultivating resilience to minimize the effects of compassion fatigue.
Wow.
And so there's some research and some tools and understanding how that's different from burnout and so on that you'll find in there. So yes, please download it. It's free. I'd love to hear your comments about it. And that's on offer there too.
Wonderful. Well, all of those links will be down below, so you can just click on them. So, do you have any closing words for us today, Jennifer?
Ah, well, just be you. There's no one else that is like you, that is you. And so really accept and embrace all of who you are, the totality of who you are, flaws and all. Just allow your spirit to direct the life that you were meant to live. You
Wow,
deserve to be here. Who you are makes a difference.
that's really wonderful advice. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it, and we really enjoyed all your wonderful words and sharing with us.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.